To the April 2024 board meeting for the Kitsap Regional Library Board of Trustees. I am President Eric Fong. Along with me is Vice President Gina Steiner, as well as Marwan Cameron and Eric Sisney. Stephanie George, our other board member, is out today on an expected excused absence. Gina, could you read for us the library mission statement, please?
Inspiring curiosity and connection.
Thank you so much. Jason, can I pass it off to you for welcome and introductions?
Sorry about that. Welcome. And with us tonight is Executive Assistant Tammy Jeffries from Leadership Team, CFOO Dan Bayer, Deputy Director, and also Deputy Director of Public Services Shannon Peterson. And then we also have the director of the executive director of the Kitsap Regional Library Foundation, Wendy Kyle. And we have the director of strategy and communications, Jeannie Allen. And then we have the director of human resources and DEI, Lucretia Robertson. And last but not least, we have the director of IT and facilities management is Mike Rose. And then also with us is our team Polsbo to discuss our primetime reading grant. Not the whole team, but we have we've got Pam Crow, and we've got Meg Beat-Stowe, we've got Susie Chrisman, and we've got Valerie Martin here to talk about primetime. And that's it. Thank you.
Thanks so much, Jason, and welcome, Team Polsbo. Looking forward to your presentation. There are no additions or changes to the agenda. And there's also no public comment, so I will go to item 6, the consent agenda. All matters listed within the consent agenda are considered to be routine and will be enacted by one motion of the Board of Trustees with no separate discussion. If separate discussion is desired, items may be removed from the consent agenda and placed on the regular agenda by request. We have item 6.01, minutes of the March board meeting, 6.02, payment of the March 2024 bills, and 6.03, the surplus library materials. Do I have a motion to approve the consent agenda?
I so move.
Do I have a second? All those in favor?
Aye.
Thank you very much. And we'll go to agenda item 7. 7.01, presentation, Primetime Family Reading Grant, Polsbo Branch Manager Pam Crow, and Youth Services Librarian Meg Stowe, and all of Team Polsbo. Welcome.
Thank you. Good evening. We're excited to share the results of a wonderful partnership with Humanities Washington, the North Kitsap School District, and of course the library, in support of bilingual families in the North Kitsap area. And this is a presentation on primetime family reading. Forgive me, I'm going to do a little bit of multitasking with putting on and off glasses. So I do want to share that the primetime reading was secured through a grant from Humanities Washington with the support of the foundation. Thank you very much, foundation, and all that you did to secure the funds. That was, to me, on our end, the smooth part, but I'm sure not so much for you. But thank you for all the work on that. So what occurred is when that opportunity came up, we raised our hands. There were locations that were asked, hey, who would like to do this? And we raised our hands and said we would very much like to do this. When I say we, myself and Meg, we had some side conversations and immediately knew that we would like to offer this program to the bilingual Spanish-speaking families in the community in the North Kitsap area. And we knew also there was a particular school in the North Kitsap School District that we wanted to partner with, and that was Vinland Elementary. Am I doing it right? Do I point? Sorry. That's why you're going first. Okay. Sorry. Am I doing it right? Oh, okay. Okay. I'll go ahead and continue. So there it is. Okay, thank you. So I just wanted to share with you key partners that helped bring the program to fruition and come alive. So it was myself and Meg, as well as Rebecca Ryan, the Vinland Elementary librarian, as well as Joali Ray. It took me the 6 weeks to say her name correctly. I'm proud of that. And she also, along with Maria Smith, being able to speak Spanish really helped to carry the program and making it impactful, along with Meg's skills as well as Rebecca's skills. So the planning started, I cannot exactly recall, I believe in September, possibly. I think we started to plan in September, October, because we knew we wanted to try to have this program come to fruition before spring break. So our partners jumped right in, which we are very grateful for, and offered some, key timelines to consider. There was conferences to consider, days of celebration to consider. So in the program, the identified dates that we decided to go with, this is a 6-week program. We decided to consistently have it on Wednesday evenings. That's early out, and that's Meg's awareness as well as the educators. And the program started January 31st and ended on March 13th. We paused for February 14th because that was Ash Wednesday, and a lot of the families, being Catholic, we wanted to recognize that. Actually, Meg called that out and identified that. We're very grateful for that, because that's part of, we see you, we're walking with you, and we want to support how your community celebrates. So I appreciate her thoughtfulness in identifying that we don't want to offer a program on Ash Wednesday. So we did from January 31st to March 13th, and we skipped one day. And one thing that it was very evident from the start was why we have primetime family reading. Why did we engage in that? And I called out some things on the Humanities Washington website, and we actually saw these actually occur and active. It was dig deeper into the big ideas in children's literature. When Meg is going to also continue the presentation, and she's going to share some of the books, some of the same books that you read as children. I saw it with new eyes, with how the program engaged discussion in real life situations like the Three Little Pigs. So I'll have her share that and how it helped to have children have conversation and troubleshooting what's happening in today's world and society. Then the other part of reconnect, discuss, and learn together, that was obvious. And then we champion and foster the joy of reading as a family. And Meg has a wonderful quote from a father that experienced the program. We foster curiosity, inspiration, and information sharing. Had to put our call outs in there of our values, and we saw that active and alive. And then to foster equity, inviting young scholars and their families to view the library as their go-to. And we want them to re-engage in the space, and that's where we also want to continue the connection that we made. So I'm going to turn it over to Meg.
Okay. So this is, here we go. So this is the initial schedule that was provided to us from Humanities Washington in our training, because each and every member of our team, we actually had extensive training from Humanities Washington on the values of the program and the methodology and how to run it. And the training was particular to our each individual roles. And so they did acknowledge that the bilingual version that we were going to be running generally cuts out one of the books. You can see on the left-hand side, they're designed it to have 2 different stories, but in order to account for the extra time that you take by having the Spanish interpretation, then one of those books usually just will have to get slashed. And that was what we found with how we ran our program. And then the orange portion that you see over on the right, that's actually for a preschool program that was designed to run concurrently with our family program. The idea was that the preschool assistant would take any like younger kids, because this was designed to be a school age program, so only for, and we were targeting kids in the bilingual Spanish program at Vinland who were native Spanish speakers, and they were in grades 1 through 3. So we weren't doing the entire school, just grades 1 through 3. So we knew that there was going to be younger siblings. We knew there'd be some older siblings who may come. And so the idea was that the preschool facilitator would be able to engage the younger kids so that the families and the grown-ups could participate along with their kids. That did not end up turning out. The orange portion is actually more of like what our program ended up looking like, where we had one story and then we had a discussion. But the reason why it didn't end up working out is because the families all wanted to stay together. The younger kids didn't want to be separated from their parents. They wanted to sit next to their older siblings on the carpet. So it was actually really lovely to see how it came to fruition. And as an example, what actually happened? As you can see, this was our welcome sign that we had out in front of the Paulsbo Library in our community room where we held the program. The school actually identified that we should be holding the program at the library instead of at the elementary school, because our library was actually closer proximity to where most of the families lived, and they thought, and actually it's reasonably walkable, and so they wanted to make sure that folks would be able to come down easier rather than journey across town to the elementary school. So to start, we checked everyone's attendance, introduced ourselves, and then Humanities Washington wanted us to offer what they referred to as a commercial, and that would be a little short 2 to 5 minute snippet of information about the library or information about the elementary school. So for the library, our commercial, we would switch off week to week. 1 week was the library, 1 week was Vinland. Our commercials included things like letting people know about the North Kitsap School District student accounts. We had library tax aid with AARP that included Spanish interpretation. And then we also had a library immigrant homeownership program that was entirely in Spanish. And so we let folks know at prime time that these were happening. And for Vinland, they were talked about enrollment in kindergarten, their scholastic book fair, things like that. And then next, we all gathered together to share a meal. We opted to switch between 3 different restaurants for our takeout meal. We did Los Cazadores in Paulsbo. It's a local restaurant. It's amazing food. It's owned and operated by families who actually attend Vinland Elementary School. We did Westside Pizza. The kids were particularly excited about this one. And then we did Jersey Mike sandwiches. And in addition, we provided some fruit and veggie trays. Grapes were a particular favorite of the kids. And then drinks in the form of water and juice boxes. And we also provided to-go boxes for the families to take leftovers home with them at the end of the evening. Excuse me. And then we reorganized the room in order to gather for our storytelling and discussion portion of the evening. The kids sat in these soft floor chairs that you can see in these pictures. Those were purchased actually with funds from our friends of the library group, so shout out to them. And then each week we had a theme that we framed all of our humanities-based discussions around. And the theme could be something like fairness or identity or dreams. And then our books, I brought a few of them, included ones like The True Story of the Three Little Pigs in Spanish and English. And so some of it, like Chato's Kitchen was another one. And then for our theme on dreams, we read Amazing Grace. Some of these books, like in The True Story of the Three Little Pigs, was Spanish and English there, but some of them we actually just bought 2 different copies of them to make sure that families could read them in whichever way they were the most comfortable with. The idea is that they would read the books prior to coming to the session, but they didn't have to if they weren't able to get to it. The interpreter and I would read the books in tandem, and it was also always really funny to see where the funny parts or the jokes would hit better in English or Spanish, because it would always be different. Sometimes the joke was better in Spanish, and sometimes it was better in English. Here's kind of another example of us up there doing our reading. The discussions themselves revolved around open-ended questions that were asked by our scholar. And it worked really well to have the scholar be the teacher librarian at Vinland, because she not only knew all the kids' names, but she also had those classroom management tactics to like draw answers out of people in case they were not wanting to be very vocal at first. And then, as you can see here, the program remained really popular throughout all of our times there. In fact, in the third week, as we were putting everything away, a father actually pulled me aside and told me how much he appreciated this program for his family, that when he was growing up, he was never a great reader, and that as an adult, he now really understands how important reading is and that he wants that for his children. And so he was so thankful that we had this opportunity that families could be engaging with books together in this kind of a space. And it was really powerful to just talk with him about this, as we were kind of, and we were in that frazzled cleaning up space, but he really wanted to make sure that he knew. And he was present every week that we came here, that we had held prime time. Sometimes we would have families fluctuate and come and go, but you would often see dads especially come in late, like clearly they had gotten off of work, but they felt this was important and wanted to make sure that they attended. The kids also enjoyed it on our second to last session, when we had to announce that, oh, next week is our last time. There were audible groans of them being disappointed that it was going to be ending. Now I'll pass it back to Pam.
So a couple of things that I want to mention that was very valuable to the program and providing the resources to the families was, as Meg shared, there was a book that was presented to them that they were able to take home. And boy, they did line up and made sure they got their books. There was also a gift card. We used Walmart and Safeway to give them a gift card just to recognize that they took their time out to come and connect with us. I do want to say that we did notice that the male attendance, the male figures did grow over time. I think it was by the second session, it was a clear difference. And then we would have cleanup, and my thing is this space is for you. I don't want you to have to work and clean up. No, they wanted to engage and do that. Even as recently as possibly a week or so ago, since this started, the first day there were parents texting other families telling them about it. So we got some calls and interest, and we were able to have a couple of other families. And then we got some communication from a couple of other teachers. One actually came and said, I have a family, but they're at Pearson. I would like for them to come. And, we made room for them and said yes. And the teachers would, a couple of the educators would share, the kids are still talking about this program. And then we also got a communication both via message through educators as well as directly through LibAnswers, our virtual help desk, is when is this program happening again? When is it going to be at our school? So it was so wonderful to engage in this program. And also, I will have to recognize the stipend being very helpful for those who partnered with us, the educators that most likely started their day at 6 a.m. and came and engaged and was there until 8:30. Paying that stipend to me is really acknowledges and recognizes the time and their contributions. So I thought that was just an amazing aspect. So we do want to thank, again, Humanities Washington, the North Kitsap School District, the foundation, and leadership. So any questions?
If I could just jump in quickly, both of these women are very humble. This was our first kind of foray into this program. We've known about it. We've been kind of looking at it. The opportunity came up, and they raised their hands. Set up with everything else, it kind of fell into our lap. It's an extra thing. And boy, training and getting procedures established, figuring out the budget, like new ways to spend budget. It was a lot of setup work. These two were the guinea pigs, and boy, they knocked it out of the park. And to start with a partner that we're really looking to like deepen our relationship with, in families that we've really been hoping to connect with in a more meaningful way, how cool is that? It was just very exciting to see. Of course, they're not going to mention this. Meg shared the evaluations from families that we sent out to get translated. Man, the impact that the families talked about, the experience they had was overwhelmingly positive, and I just can't wait to see where this takes us. Thank you.
Yeah, please go ahead with comments.
First of all, I just want to commend you guys, and what a beautiful thing, and thank you for sharing the story and experience and the optimism for doing this type of thing again and building that hope and fostering this desire and motivation for people to want to keep doing this type of thing. So congratulations. This is really wonderful to hear about. Awesome. You guys did awesome. And then I just wanted to ask, how did you advertise and recruit people? Was it through the school?
So it was through the school. We were very lucky. Vinland is an extremely enthusiastic community partner. And from the moment we first heard about it, we identified them as being a great opportunity for us, since they do have this bilingual program at the elementary school. It's the only one up in North Kitsap School District. And it is for, I believe it's like 60-40, like 60% English speakers and then 40% native Spanish speakers. And a lot of the families are immigrants. A lot of them are in community with one another, but some of them still don't always know each other. So they just knew that the folks at the school knew that this would be a really great community to reach out to about this. And the community has also experienced some challenges from the school district recently, and so they also identified them as being a really doing a program like this as a necessary, further welcoming into the community, that you're a part of Paulsville, you're a part of the school district. And and so the challenge was more of like the narrowing down into the grade levels, because at first we wanted to try and have it be K through 5, but our community room only holds so many people, and Humanities Washington encouraged us to have at least 15 families, but no more than 25, I think? 25. Yeah, and so to go through all the way through K through 5, like that would have been way too much. So we just identified, we were looking at the book titles and seeing that they would actually resonate more for first through third graders. And then we just did the native Spanish-speaking families, and worked with our interpreter as a liaison for the school district. And so it was really easy to get in touch with a lot of the families, and we did like a blanket. We didn't pick and choose the families. We just said, first through third grade, these are the families. We'll send out an invitation and then see what happens. So.
Another piece also, thank you so much, Meg. She touched on a lot of it. And one thing that was taken into consideration was opening the enrollment. That was a thing because there were celebrations happening. A lot of the families left the area, and I cannot recall, it was around Ash Wednesday. So our opening for enrollment and then giving a close date, and there were applications that came in after close, and we did receive them. That was very helpful. So Humanities Washington Primetime Family had some wonderful promo material that we were able to use and capture, and populating it and customizing it as an open enrollment, inviting families to participate in the program. And Joe Ali, as well as Maria, those who are the dual language speakers, were very, very helpful. A lot of communication went out via text, and that's how the families responded. So there were the open enrollment forms that they helped them to fill out and then turn into us. And then communication and reminders went out via text, which we're very grateful for because we didn't have that platform to communicate. And Vinland did an amazing job carrying that we greatly appreciate.
Well, it sounds like the perfect partnership. Thank you.
I'll try to keep it short. Wow, in a word, cultural resiliency, from acknowledging how Catholics can't be at need to be somewhere else. So important that you can shift around that, from the food, from changing the way the courses were set, that resiliency. It's so important when you have a program. It's like, hey, I've got this great program, and I'm going to give this program to you, instead of how is the program going to work for the people that you're providing it to. And so you could see that all the way through the stipends. Just fantastic. Anecdotally, I'll say, talking with a lot of youth now, they don't really like to read. You've got tablets, there's a lot of competition. And so finding a way to stimulate that reading, not only with them, but also with their parents and siblings, just bravo, just fantastic. Just super exciting to hear.
Thank you.
What's in the future? Are we going to, anyplace else in the county?
Oh, yeah.
Yes, we are actually currently in process in Silverdale in partnership with Central Kitsap School District. So again, working with language immersion programs and pulling kids actually from different schools into one space. And then we're looking to launch a third site this fall. I can't share what it is yet. It's not finally confirmed, but we will have a third series happening this fall.
And Paulsville we do want to do it again. I want Meg to recover. She did an amazing job. And one thing I failed to mention is that each family received a certificate at the end of the program. There was a celebration, and in that special celebration, each family received a certificate recognizing their efforts and what they've done and coming together and reading as a family and learning.
I'll just jump in, a certificate and a treat from our amazing Mexican bakery in Paulsbo. So both things.
Well, thank you so much and congratulations. It took so many different partners for all of this to come together, so thank you to the foundation as well. I love the tie-in of everything coming together, especially the food and sitting together and the sharing. That's so important in creating a community and sharing food. And I live in Bainbridge, but my family and I eat at Cazadores pretty regularly, so great choice there. And we all know it's a lot easier to think on a full stomach. So very good there. And also congratulations to everybody for being willing to try something new and pulling something new together. So, and that was actually going to be my question, Eric, the possibility of expanding. So that's great news to hear that more is coming. So thank you very much for your time and thank you for the presentation. It was wonderful. So with that, we will go to 7.02, board member updates. I have no update this month, so I'll pass it down.
I don't either. As I said in our strategic planning meeting, I'm so addicted to the Libby app and my Audible books that I actually felt inconvenienced to be here tonight and interrupt my story time. But so kudos to the Libby app. Thanks.
No update from me.
No updates from me either.
Okay, can we go with a long-range strategic planning committee report from Gina or Marwan?
All right. So I'm really excited to give the report this evening. Right now, looking to implement around June 2nd, Sundays at Bainbridge, Sylvan, and Port Orchard. Those hours would be 1 to 5. Looking to establish consistency in hours again. So 10 to 7, Monday through Thursday. On Fridays would be 10 to 5, and on Sundays would be 1 to 5. And then also launching, hopefully May 13th, will be after-hours meeting in Paulsbo with the key card. So we heard about that a little bit before. And so looks like these things are coming pretty quickly. And that's my report.
That's great news. We've had some heavy hitters asking about Sunday hours, so congratulations on that. Any questions about the Long-Range Strategic Planning Committee? Okay, so we'll go to 7.04, financial report. Dan, anything to add to the report this month?
No, I'm just happy to report that we're within budget for expenditures, and our revenues are within projections by $1,000, so I thought that was pretty good.
That is pretty good. Nice job.
Any questions from anyone?
No, I just want to say that I appreciate all of the footnotes. They're very helpful, so thank you.
Thank you. I'm glad to hear that. Thank you.
Great, so with that, we'll go to 7.05. Jason, Library Director's report.
Yeah, good evening and welcome again. As you can see, the library continues to be busy, and lots of community engagement, patron and staff support, and planning for summer reading right now, and the organization supporting large-scale events that we always support during the summer. And so in terms of the library movement and human resources, we onboarded 4 new team members in March. I want to welcome aboard our 4 new staff members at Port Orchard branch, Whitney Pete, and Leah Horton, Annalise Nyland, and finally Chelsea Pemberton. We had 1 staff member who was promoted, so congratulations to Cindy Rivas Garcia, who was promoted from library assistant to adult services librarian at Sylvan Way. And so congratulations, Cindy. And finally, we wish goodbye to Sylvan Way substitute library assistant Emma Newport, who resigned from her position in March. Organization safety topic for the month of March was disaster management and focus on how to prepare for natural disasters. And so with all the natural beauty in this area, we are susceptible to a number of natural disasters. And so preparing our staff for things like that outside of work is really timely. I remember learning, I think it was probably day 2, we were all out to lunch celebrating Jill for her retirement, and someone on his team, I'm not going to mention who, mentioned the Cascadian subduction zone, and because I'm a librarian, I looked it up and was horrified by what I read, and I'm still here, so. But, it's important for us to, as an organization, in all seriousness, that the work that our safety committee does through our human resources department is an important aspect of educating staff within the organization. So we believe, obviously, knowledge is power, and we want to empower staff to take precautions and stay active and healthy away from work as well as at work. In March, our leadership team convened our first retreat of the year at Skookum in Bremerton, where we engaged in strategic visioning for the organization's future by examining areas of opportunity for growth and sustainability. So this is a long journey for us, and so the planning will be ongoing. We're looking forward to continuing the conversation with you, our trustees, at our May retreat, which is on May 3rd. In addition to community and branch connections during the month, I also attended the 4th and final session of the Bremerton School District's strategy planning session as a community partner to the Bremerton School District with other community leaders and educators at the Kitsap Golf and Country Club in Bremerton. So I'm excited to see the fruits of our labor once the district's final strategic plan is released later this year. Also, I had the opportunity to attend the final primetime reading session that was hosted at the Pulse Bowl location on March 13th, as you saw in our mission moment in the presentation from Meg and Pam. It was a well-attended program. Not only that one, the one I attended, but all of the previous programs were well-attended. And so early learning, has been an important staple of library programming really since the beginning. And as an organization, we stand firm in our commitment to this timeless practice of imparting these early literacy skills and practices to families. We'll always aim to cultivate a love of lifelong learning and reading through literacy. So I'm grateful for our foundation partners, Wendy and Carrie and the entire team for securing this grant. It isn't easy to take something like that, and I really want to acknowledge the work of Deputy Director Shannon Peterson, because often when these things come up, they aren't at the best time. These grants come with timelines, deadlines, and often guidelines that are not easy to fit into the library's operational framework. So I really want to acknowledge Shannon and her team for their work to make this fit and to make this work. And as you saw, it was a really successful program. And to acknowledge the professionalism of the Pulse Bowl staff. Often when programs happen like this, the practitioner, being Meg, isn't the only one affected. And so as you saw from Val and Christy, they were here beaming with support, of course, but something like that affects a whole branch. Because oftentimes you have families that are coming to a branch and are invading a branch for a night. And the night I was there, they did a library tour. No staff were there, but still, it's a lot for a staff to be able to prepare and to absorb a program like this. So I really want to acknowledge the entire Pulse Bowl staff for really being a partner in this too. So often when you have programs like this, you need buy-in from the entire community and the entire library community in that particular branch. So thank you for all you do. And as I want to always say former, but I realize that I'm always have a children's librarian inside of me. And so being a practitioner and watching Meg be able to really run this program, I have a lot of admiration for her. It's not easy with a room full of kids and contingencies that happen when you have families, even though they have parental support. Kids are happy and they're jumping around and they were excited to be there. The food was delicious. And but Meg did a fantastic job, as well as all of the support staff who were there, and just really top-notch program. And so partnerships have become integral to what we do in the library, and for libraries in general in the 21st century. We've really cemented ourselves, and we always talk about libraries as third place. But I really feel like, post-pandemic, we have become that sort of preeminent third place rather. And so the partnerships that we're developing with other organizations as a result of grants like Primetime are really going to be critical for us. So I feel like, again, wait and see. We'll have a couple of more programs that are going to get started here soon. We have one in place already. I think the programs that are or the relationships that are established out of those are going to be critical for us in order to move the needle. And so thank you again. And so, it was heartwarming to watch, for me, the families really engage with each other and with their peers. And, the books, the certificates, the food, the treats, and best of all, the hugs. What I got to see in the end were kids running up and hugging people, because it was the end, and that's sad, but you can tell that they made an impact. Kids will show you how much they care, and they cared, and there was a lot of effort and love put into that program. They weren't just doing it to complete a mission, and what I saw there was, Meg wasn't doing it because this is what she was tasked to do. She was doing it because she wanted to, and I was there as a volunteer and to help the team, and it was really, really impactful. Just emotional talking about it, because what you could tell from the kids is that they had developed bonds with each other. If they hadn't had them already, what I saw in the end was kids really clamoring to really be in that space. I saw kids not wanting to leave and kids sort of hanging out at the end, and lots of great interaction. So again, this is a really big part of who we are as an organization. It's part of our key missive of fostering welcoming and belonging through advancing equity and inclusion. So thank you for all your work. We finally, in March, we had our all-staff day, the first of two, which was held at Kiana Lodge in Pulse Bowl. So we had a really good occasion. We got a chance to celebrate our staff, our work, our organization, and launch of Thrive Ahead, our strategic framework for the organization. The day was kicked off by students from Chief Kitsap Academy in Pulse Bowl, who regaled us with song and dance and drumming. Our keynote speaker was Bremerton School District Superintendent Dr. James Crawford, who shared his journey of thriving ahead as a disadvantaged youth in Bremerton and how he was inspired by educators. And really, he talked a little bit about, too, how the library was a sanctuary for him. This isn't the first time I heard that from him, but he was a frequent visitor of the Sylvan Way location. So in talking about how the library is important to him, it was also an opportunity to reflect on what our partnership is moving forward. So we were happy to have Dr. Crawford. Other highlights included a presentation on disability awareness and ableism, and that was a thoroughly educational session, and I think it helped for us to provide continual education in our journey of realizing our DEI goals that were put in place in 2022 and were brought before this body. So we're excited to continue those conversations and the work that is going to be done this year around language access as well. And so we capped off the day engaging in a wellness session all about burnout and how to prevent it, both and how to cope with burnout. And again, this is about providing our employees with resources and tools to not only to deal with work, but life in general. Because a lot of times when you talk about things like burnout, they're systemic of lots of other issues besides work. And so I'm happy that when we have trainings like this, we're able to provide tools and tips and tricks for staff to be able to deal with life and as life happens. And so I think any organization that doesn't take into account that people have lives outside of work isn't doing a good enough job to create a good culture amongst its employees. So I'm happy that our Human Resources Department has really been central in that mission and really has been keen on providing opportunities for staff and leadership alike to be able to get education and training. And so the day was, oh, and lastly, we had cake, by the way. It was an opportunity to celebrate our collective bargaining agreement and our partnership with the WPA. So we had cake for the entire staff, and the day was emceed by our own Dan Baer, who did a wonderful job, and big shouts out to directors Jeannie Allen and Lucretia Robertson for their work in planning the day. So kudos to you for a well-executed day. Our next all-staff day is in October. That day will be more team-centric. We'll really be focusing on team building and engagement and service through each of our teams in their locations. And stay tuned for more information on that. And that is the end of my report. Any questions?
Thanks, Jason. Love to hear the sense of partnerships and communities continue to come together. Also, like hearing how serving the staff evolves as, you know, we all are still on our way out of COVID sheltering in place, and, you know, our needs evolve. And so it's great to hear that the services that you're offering the staff evolve as well, and you get the chance to show appreciation for a really hardworking group of folks. Any other questions, comments? Great. Thank you, Jason. Appreciate the update.
Thank you.
Okay, we'll go to new business, 9.01 Public Engagement Board Policy. So this is a pretty minor update. Nothing real substantial nothing of substance is changing. The main items that are changing here, and if you click through the document, you can see the updates. It's really about utilizing the new Diligent platform versus board docs, so giving better directions on where to go. So those are the main changes here for 9.01. And I'm happy to take a motion. If there's a motion to approve the Public Engagement Board Policy update.
I so move.
Do we have a second?
A second.
Is there any discussion? All those in favor?
Aye.
Thank you so much. And we'll move on to 9.02 Public Comment Board Guidelines, which are updated for the same reason, just updated for the Diligent platform over board docs. Hopefully everybody's gotten to take a look, and I'll accept any motion to approve the Public Comment Board Guideline updates.
I move to approve the Public Comment Board guidelines.
I'll second.
All right, discussion? All those in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
Great. Thank you so much. And we move on to future meeting dates. Our next board meeting date is Tuesday, May 28th, 2024. We will have the Finance Committee meeting as well. And for dates to remember, you can visit our Kitsap Regional Library website. And with that, we are adjourned. Thank you so much, everybody.